agency on the 300 Flatbush Avenue proposal. Tony is here and is very interested to see what we'll decide on that one. So if there are no objections, we'll deal with 300 Flatbush now? Okay. So I need a motion to recommend city planning as the lead agency for seeker.
Yes, you want that.
Yeah, because the other option is us.
Otherwise, the county takes it over.
Right. You second? Or are you questioning? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I've been told I've been doing this probably. I need a motion. Second? Okay.
I want to, Deb had just made a comment. What is the pros and the cons of city planning being the lead agency?
Oh gosh, Dan will best be able to explain that, but it seems that if city planning, as I understand it, is not lead agency in the seeker review, we have to be.
Well, no, we don't have to be. You are basically, they have requested to be lead agency. If you object to them being lead agency, you have to offer yourselves as lead agency, and then there would inevitably be a conflict and most likely a contest with regard to who lead agency would be, and planning would ultimately.
And where does the county fall into that? Right in there.
The county is also notified of city planning's request to be the lead agency, and they also have an opportunity to object.
So if we do recommend the city planning as the lead agency, that takes the county out of the process?
No, they still have the opportunity to object as well. Any involved agency, any agency that is notified of city planning's request to be the lead agency has the opportunity to object. Okay?
And when does that take place? After it's passed, or?
No, now.
Did that
That's the notification went out to all of the other agencies at the same time. Any one of them has the opportunity to object and say, no, we want to be lead agency. Okay? Presumably, county planning has no interest in being lead agency. Most obviously because they are still the owner of the property and they're fully aware of the fact that if they try to declare themselves lead agency, it would not fly. They own the property until the process moves forward and until the contract, which is contingent on approval, goes into effect. So them being the lead agency on their own parcel of land just makes no sense.
Okay, so it went out and nobody stepped up.
At this point, nobody else has objected. But, I mean, the recommendation from city planning was only made, I think it was last week or
the 12th.
Yeah.
That planning.
So that's 8 days ago, 9 days ago or something.
So we have two options here: the city take them and lead, or the planning board take the lead.
You can either consent to the planning board being the lead agency, or you can object to the planning board being the lead agency.
And then at that time, then it would be.
You would have to step up.
We would have to be the City of Kingston, Common Council.
To common council, basically.
Common council.
You want
I have a question.
Go ahead,
I mean, it sounds real simple,
It is.
but, well, based on the resolution that the planning board submitted here, I just have one question on that. As far as like, if we make that lead agency, is the language, I mean, is how binding is that? Because my only concern on this is where it says for a zoning change to the, because obviously it can't remain a one-family residence zoning, so obviously zoning has to change to some degree.
What resolution are you referring to?
I'm looking at the resolution of the City of Kingston Planning Board. This was the one from last week, the 12th. Right here, you can pass it.
He's got mine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right at the top where it says, like it says where you're changing it from one family to a multi-resident.
First paragraph.
Now, that's pretty broad also. I mean, is there a way to just change it from a one-family resident? We can't modify this because that came from them, is that right, or can we? Because it.
Well, if you read what it says is just factual. Rocco, the applicant, has submitted a completed Part 1 of the full environmental assessment form to the City of Kingston Planning Board, to create 66 residential units, 34 of which is located in an existing building, and 32 constructed within a new building, and has petitioned.
Oh, it's petition, oh,
The
they,
common
so
council.
that's what they're.
It's really
okay.
factual.
So that's not the planning board saying,
Right.
that's their recommend, that's what they petitioned, okay, I got it.
What happened at the planning board meeting, because I was there,
Yeah,
they,
understood.
created the resolution for the planning to become the lead
Yeah,
agency.
that's
Right,
fine.
and then what they also had said was that they were deferring to the council in regard to the zoning change. They were not gonna make
After
a
the
recommendation.
seeker,
After secret, and after site plan.
They
Correct.
weren't gonna
Right.
make a recommendation.
Right.
They deferred it to
Okay,
us.
I just misread that was all part of the petition I wrote. though.
Right, and technically, that's not on the agenda this evening. The only thing that's on the agenda this evening is
Letting
the
the
request
planning
for
board
the
lead
agency.
agency, okay.
I'm not sure if the
I'm good.
planning board response to your request for a recommendation has officially been received yet, and I'm not sure if county planning has officially sent their recommendation back. That's the second part of this. I believe that Historics has already sent their recommendation, and it says basically the same thing. The zone has to be changed because it cannot be used as single-family residence. The decision with regard to what zone it ultimately should be held in abeyance pending the
Got it,
sequel
yeah.
review and site plan review.
Yep, that I know, okay.
Yeah. And I expect that's the
Confusing
same
the language
recommendation
there, I
we
just
get
thought
back
that was part of
And
it.
we couldn't have it tonight anyway, because it was after the council meeting, for it to be referred as communication. Because there's, you said there's items that need to be addressed with it, but also it took place on December 12th, which was after the council meeting, so it couldn't be communications this month, it had to be next month.
It can't be a communication to you. I was referring to the actual document that was being generated by the three committees, whether or not it actually has been circulated yet and formally accepted by the city clerk and forwarded to this committee, which I'm not sure. Carly, have you received those yet? All right.
Tony?
I just want clarification, so if you guys, the law means, rules, decide today, they vote to have the planning board and the lead agency, what happens after that?
What happens after that is the planning board begins the sequel review, and, begins site plan review. And it's dealt with through the administrative agency. There's a very complex process. We have to go through, part one is secret, part two is secret. That's going to take, quite a bit of time. And it's very, very intensive. Their attorney is going to prepare a document for submission to the planning board. The planning board is going to review it. They're going to go through it line by line, and they're going to make their findings with regard to each subcategory on the floor.
Bill?
And as a council, we really have nothing to do with it at that point, other than as citizens, or we can go in front of the planning board as a resident, right? And express concerns, or if we wanted to
Well, absolutely.
discuss
You
it.
can submit
But as
concerns
a
with regard
council,
to-
we have nothing to do until the secret review.
Well,
is
you can
done.
certainly participate in the secret review as an interested or involved agency by submitting your comments with regard to any subcategory in
Okay.
And then
the
eventually
process.
we'll check out to the seeker.
Right.
But we don't have the resources to do a secret review on our own.
No.
He can suit up, he can get out there.
He cleans us up. I'll find some beer.
This is what the planning board does. The planning board does this
Or a
with...
strange
I don't know if strange fish there.
So this is the normal process?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meaning you have the floor?
Yeah, I'd like to know, what brought this about?
What about?
The fact that we're, that the request is for the planning board to be the lead agency. What specifically brought this about?
Our city code that requires the process to be followed this way. They're following the code the way it's written. They have filed a petition for a rezoning of the parcel. Okay, under the code, there's a process that has to be followed once that petition has been filed.
Okay, well,
And a sequel review with regard to this type of project is mandatory under state law.
okay, that's understood, but I mean, what? Okay,
No, what's the question?
I'm asking a question that's kind of a sidebar, but I'm just gonna, we'll let the process go. We'll see
There's
how it
something
works out.
underneath there that you want to
Mhm,
ask.
yeah.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
we'll give you. Any other questions or comments? Can I call the question? I can call the question as a committee member.
Sure you
Yeah,
can.
okay. So I'll call the question. All those in favor of making city
Of
plan?
consenting to, the planning board being the lead agency with regard to the road, with regard to.
Use that language, consenting. All those in favor of consenting to the city planning board becoming the lead agency in a seeker review regarding 300 Flatbush Avenue, say aye.
Aye.
So it's unanimous.
Ready for the whole?
Oh, get out of here. To
We're jealous. Yeah, we're jealous.
seeker review regarding. All right.
The next holiday.
Happy holidays.
See it till maybe the new year.
No, so we're, no on it, right?
Yeah, you'll get notified.
All right, okay.
What do you want to do? So, okay, so we're going to strike the very first agenda item, which is notice of public hearing UPAC Bardavon Project. That was a communication. It got listed on Laws and Rules agenda. It was to announce a public hearing, but the public hearing has already taken place. It's for the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency. So just by a procedural matter, because it was referred to Laws and Rules, it was referred to Laws and Rules prior to our meeting, so there's nothing we could do about that. So the next item on the agenda is legislation to allow ride sharing. This is also a memorializing resolution, and it's a memorializing resolution, as I understand it, because the laws that we would have to change in order to allow peer-to-peer ride sharing, that is companies like Lyft and Uber, to operate in the city of Kingston would require us to change state law, which we are not empowered to do. My understanding also is that it is likely that New York State will change the current law to allow peer-to-peer ride sharing. And this is a memorializing resolution adopted, I think it's by the city of Buffalo. Yeah, and so the idea here is to, if we're okay with this resolution, to adopt it with appropriate changes for Kingston, meaning inserting Kingston instead of Buffalo. Or this is something we're just getting before us, we can discuss it. I think there are a number of different options that avenues we can take. Yeah, Steve?
How is the state legislation worded? Does it say only taxi companies are allowed? What's the general idea of the state
I
legislation?
think Dan, you would have a better
Because they
idea.
operate in New York City.
Yeah, under the
This is the
conservation
ride sharing.
cabs, yeah, they're not
No,
like
never
it.
mind the consternation, what about legal, you can't do it, if the state doesn't, require it.
Yeah, I don't know what the specific provision of the VTL is. Certainly looking into
Good
that.
point.
I'm not sure whether or not this is time sensitive in that it's currently before the legislature, and if you bounce it another month, whether or not, you missed your opportunity to, chime in with regard to the proposal. This is basically just sending a communication to the legislature saying we support, this type of endeavor for the city of Kingston. How much it's going to weigh in terms of the legislature?
I have some concerns about that. I've had it from the get-go, even in New York City. Can I?
Yeah, please go ahead, you have the floor.
I'm concerned, first of all, how it affects businesses here in Kingston with a cab company. That's one, because you're going to take it away from them. You're putting people on the unemployment line, basically. And number two, the safety factor. As you all know, in Florida just recently, an Uber driver was held up by a guy with a gun, and the Uber driver had a gun, so he shot him in self-defense. So what type of people are you
maybe you shouldn't be concerned with people's safety, but you're taking Uber, you're relying on that driver to have been gone through a background check, not like you do with the cab companies, where you have to be fingerprinted and yada, yada, yada. You got a person showing up with an app saying, okay, I'm here to take you for a ride. Okay, so you may be taken for a ride. I just have very concerns about, you may not get your destination, but what kind of safety factor is that? And then the other one is the insurance rates. You gotta have a special type of insurance to do that. How is that gonna affect everybody else's rate to cover this? Because that's a completely different, that's gonna be like, almost like a commercial. So those are just my 3 concerns.
I'd also like to stem off of what Deb said about the taxi driver companies that are here in our municipality. If we all recall, when the budget was passed, there were increases there for the fee schedule, and people are of budget line are using that money as a revenue to support the rest of that budget that was passed. So I think that's something that has to be taken into consideration as well.
That it will undercut our, Clark, what did you want?
As a long time follow of the taxi, and I do drive cab when I'm off time from filming. I have to get a license from the city of Kingston, fingerprints, maybe or whatever, but I also have to do the same thing for town of Ulster, and hopefully in the future I won't have to do the same thing for Sotheby's, because it is costly to go out there and provide a community, public, well, any service, right? You're actually helping the community by keeping people safe from not driving their cars from the bars or whatever. And I'm identified as a driver. I'm licensed as that. As far as like Uber, you could just pick up your phone and anybody could be a driver, from my understanding. Will my fees for my taxi license, would that get dropped? That's my question for that.
Yeah, these are all bigger questions. They've been debating this in New York City, and they're debating it in state legislature as well, yeah.
Well, the other thing too, I mean, in New York City, you have millions of people, and to wait for a cab might take you forever. I mean, in a city the size of Kingston, I mean, you can go from one end of Kingston to another, next in like 5, you know, sure, it doesn't take you an eternity to find a cab, unless there's a shortage of them that I don't know about, but I don't know, it seems, for a city this size, it doesn't seem like it would be such a major issue if you needed to.
Yeah, I will say, I've tried to call cabs, and they've like not showed up. So, I mean, they're,
Are there? Okay.
yeah, they're trying to go to getting good around Steve.
Okay.
What do we actually gain though, or lose by passing, it's just memorialize the resolution? I mean, do we get like a higher Uber rating? Do we get better Uber drivers or something? I mean,
I know Uber drivers are grateful when they arrive.
You get the mayor picking you out.
we get the over Uber
Electric
drivers,
car,
but-
like.
I just wonder at that, are they going to be charged the same as being a cab driver fee?
I think that's really crucial. It's, you know, are the cab drivers competing on the same footing as the Uber or Lyft drivers?
Right, yeah.
On the other hand, you might say it brings competition in the market. It would make the cab companies potentially more responsive, where you don't call and then nobody shows up and you don't make your claim or whatever it is. So, and I think there are a lot of different ways to turn around and look at it. I think also there are built-in I don't know, safety mechanisms in the app itself. When you're asking for a ride, these drivers are rated, and it's kind of like a peer-to-peer.
Who rates them?
Other riders do.
Other riders.
Maybe that was an off night for them, or it was a good night for them,
I mean, potentially the same thing could happen with a licensed cab driver. You know, you get somebody who, for whatever reason, reacts in an unpredictable or violent sort of way. There's the potential to happen there too. So I'll let you finish and then I'll go to Steve.
Plus, if the state is in the process of developing rules or thinking about adopting, permission for Uber and Lyft to drive in the entire state, I don't see what our memorialized resolution is going to do for that process.
And I think it'd be much better for us just to wait and see what they pass or don't pass. And then we can do some more research, because I mean, I think these are important concerns, you know, people's jobs are at stake. And we're a much smaller market than New York City. The other problem in New York City is, you know, the cabs, the yellow cabs like to stay in Manhattan. They really don't like going to the outer boroughs.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm sure Uber and Lyft do a much better business out there.
You go to the Roundup District and hang out.
Yeah, we don't really have outer boroughs. I mean, you know, going to Ruby or something, but,
You know, the stockade area.
Yeah, Rolling Meadows.
It seems to me, though, too, that on the other side, on the flip side, when you do this kind of peer-to-peer stuff, there are less barriers to entry into a market. And in that sense, potentially, this creates an opportunity for entrepreneurs to go out there and make some money. So there's that aspect, too, yeah.
Yeah, this is a rhetorical question, I'm sure, but it's not a this or that. I mean, we can have both, right?
Yeah.
And people would have the choice, you know, of calling a taxi company or an Uber. And again, no offense to Clark here, yeah, it would probably take some jobs away, some tax, but it would create other jobs in the meantime. I mean, I just had my first Uber experience down in New York City.
No,
How was it?
I thought it was great. And the good part, there's no cash. You do it all online. There's no money. He doesn't carry money.
He doesn't like to tip either? Or you tip him ahead of
You
time?
do the tip online.
Oh, I'm gonna see how they are first, right?
Yeah, everything is done
Sorry.
online. They tell you, okay, this is the kind of car. The kid had a Honda Civic. He's got a silver Honda Civic. Be looking for it. He should be there any minute. They give you an update like every 2 minutes. He's 2 blocks away. You can go outside now and flag him down. You know, he was a college kid. You know, he was doing it. You know, and he took us from Jersey over to right in Manhattan. You know, he knew his way around. You know, it was a good experience. Not that cabs are not a good experience. You know, but you know, people have different preferences. I like the fact that there's no money. I mean, when you're in the Uber, you don't have to worry about somebody holding up the Uber driver because there's no money in there. You know, maybe us, but you know, they're not going to stick this guy.
Uber driver might hold you.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. Like Clark said, everybody has to do a background check. I'm not sure what goes on with the Uber thing.
Well, that's it.
How extensive that is. So I think whatever we do with the memorializing resolution, you know, we got some homework to do. You know, to see what.
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say, even before signing on for
Right.
this, I would wanna know more, I wanna be really clear. And it just seems like it's a kind of fluid situation. If the state is in the process of figuring out a bunch of this stuff, I don't really see the reason for us to jump in, because there's nothing that we're gonna lose or gain, whichever it goes.
Second one.
And what's this guy's credentials? Who is he? That's what I want to know. Sorry.
Who was what?
Can I just add to that?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Bill, and then
No, Randy's exactly right. If
I'll
this,
know who this guy is.
I think we're better off waiting until after the state comes up with their regulations.
Yeah, he's your equivalent in Buffalo.
Just the guy from Buffalo.
Because the worst thing that happens is the state passes theirs and we like theirs, and we have 1 month where we don't have it, that's all. That's what so we're only short a month, so I think we should wait to see what the state says.
Okay, so there's an agreement and consensus to table?
Yes.
Well, you're not even tabling it because it hasn't been
No
moved or
action.
seconded, so there's no action.
Just pretending this never happened.
Ignore it.
So,
Clark had something
Ridesharing. So then we have,
Clark had something. You want one more thing?
No, I just wanted to say one more thing in the future, because I know that I've been following it, it's going to come back around and you're going to have to. I just hope that, because I like doing the cab service in my off time, and I would like to do it as a business someday for myself. I'm hoping that if that goes through, that they would be charged the same fees as the cab, vice versa. You would actually make more revenue by doing the same. Instead of
Both, you
Mm-hmm.
could be an Uber driver too.
vice versa. Whatever's cheaper for me.
Uber at night.
all right, so our next agenda item then would be amending the rules and regulations of the electrical board. This was on the agenda, then off the agenda, then on the agenda again. There There, I guess there was a slight typo or error in the document that was sent to us. It was revised, and now it's back on the agenda again. The fire department currently is going through this section of the code, which looks at rules and regulations for the Board of Electrical Examiners. They said that they will be coming back to us as they make their way through the core code with further changes, but to date, this is some of the changes that they've made, and really it's just a deletion of section D. C, no change. E would reflect as D now, F would reflect as E now, and you can see B and A for yourselves.
Who is the Board of Electrical Examiners? Who are they?
The actual board members themselves, I don't know who the
I
actual...
can probably access this one.
Mark. Mark and Mark.
Hold on.
You can kind of step through these changes. Do we have any, besides Mary Ann's comment, which Carly is attempting to answer, do we have any other?
So what are the actual, is there changes in A and B? That's one thing, like, are they pointed out now, have it been changed?
Do you want to respond to that? My understanding is there are no changes to A and B, and to C, that the major change is D.
We're deleting D.
Delete completely.
A looks different than this A does.
Let me see what we got. Oh, wait, let me get
Assuming that this is the most updated equipment, which it should be, the members are Malcolm Fairley, William Glennon, Gary Noble, and William Cotting, which is a Central Hudson representative.
Yeah, you're saying as it appears now.
Thank you. You see how much more there is here than there is here. Here it starts with a maximum of 10 inspectors shall be appointed by the Board of Electrical, and here it's one or more inspectors shall be appointed, so.
One or more, maximum of 7 inspectors.
So A looks like it is being changed.
One or more inspectors shall be appointed by the Board of Electrical Examiners of the City of Kingston and are hereby authorized and required as such representatives to make electrical inspections and re-inspections of all electrical installations within the City of Kingston, New York, and all extensions thereto and alteration thereof, and to approve or disapprove the same. So there, it looks like these points they've added, disapprove the same. So it looks like they've added points 1 through 7.
And then say a maximum of 10 inspectors where
Here
here it says one or more inspectors, and they want 7.
Okay, so a maximum of 7.
So this is.
So there's now a limit where there was no limit.
Maximum of 10.
One more, so the City of Kingston authorized.
The new one. That
Maximum of
This
10.
one. The loose one, it's not
Mine
standard.
says 10.
See, I think this is the
That,
revised version.
yeah, so that was the typo. The first one says 10. It should have been 7.
It's the one that's
And
not stapled to our packet.
that was the correction that they made, was that, yeah, it should have been 7.
Oh, right, replacement.
And then you look at B.
I think it's just the number that would change.
24 hours of such occurrence, yeah.
Just the,
24.
yeah. Everything else is the,
Yeah, I think that was the only.
it's just a number from 10 to 7.
Well, and then it adds 1 through 7 here.
Yeah, it has 1 through 7, which is not,
Currently,
and B looks identical. C, they're saying no change, although there must have been a change in B because they're not saying no change, so wait a minute here.
It's the same, or just looking at that one. Everything's the same now, it's on this one.
24 hours. Oh, it looks the same to me.
Yeah.
Actually,
And everything else is...
C, no change, D deleted. Because I think D is now part of,
Well, we have to report to the New York Board of Fire Underwriters, Bureau of Electricity. How can we delete section D? Or don't we have to do that anymore?
E and F.
It says it shall be the duty of the inspector to make an inspection of any premise wherein a fire or explosion has occurred, and for such purpose it shall be the duty of the chief of the fire department in the city of Kingston within 24 hours of such occurrence to report or cause to be reported to the office.
So is this a new law?
I mean, is that law still in existence, or has that law been done away with, and that's why we're taking D out?
I saw that language someplace else.
Yeah, that's already in there.
Yeah, it's folded in someplace else.
It's in B, right?
It's in B. Well, I can see
Look at B.
Yeah, look at B.
Okay.
20814B. Same thing. Such.
20 of such occurrence. So perhaps I saw D as repetitive. So
Yeah, it's a little different here. B says that within 24 hours after such occurrence, to report or cause to be reported to an inspector the address or location of such premises. It doesn't talk about that it has to be reported to the
Board of
office
Fire.
of the New York Board of Fire Underwriters. So
Okay.
does that need to
So that would
be amended up to move to B?
Right, I mean, I think we would need the fire chief here to address that issue.
That might be a good idea.
Well, he clearly states in his letter that it requires immediate attention. The letter is dated November 22nd, indicates that if anybody, has any questions, they should contact him. I see nobody contacting him with any of these questions.
I mean, I think the other issue here is too that, I don't think that, the fire chief is gonna remove something that would, violate the law.
I just sent him a text. My assumption is, first of all, the Board of Electrical Examiners are charged with making sure that, the code is in compliance with, state law. If he's saying that this requires immediate attention, my assumption is because it currently is not in compliance with state law. And he's asking, for, you to adopt this to bring it into compliance. Again, a month ago, he said if anyone has any questions, contact me.
Well, that was the date that he submitted it.
Right, and the
But
communications
we
were forwarded.
received it on,
Well, the communications were
12/7.
forwarded. Right, the communications were forwarded.
just saying
to
that
everyone in
it
the
wasn't
council.
actually November
Right.
22nd.
But, if there were questions for Mark, Mark should have been notified of them. It's 9:30, I assume that he is, not going to respond to me at this point.
Yeah, and he's been on vacation, so I'm not even sure if he's in
Yeah.
town.
His lights were on his house
Yeah.
the other night, so he's gone.
And it has occurred before where we receive something via email, but we get it for discussion in the meeting, and I remember people having questions at the meeting as well that may or may not have reached out to a department head, because sometimes you can reach out to a department head, and sometimes you're told not to reach out to a department head. So, not knowing,
How do the rest of you feel about moving on these amended regulations
You said there was a time limit to this?
without,
Well, his communication says it requires immediate attention. The Board of Electrical Examiners have been reviewing their rules and regulations. One matter requiring immediate attention is section 20814.
but it's been like this for how long, and last year it wasn't of immediate attention for them to review it, so to ask a question, I don't think is improper.
Well, no one said it was improper. What I'm saying is that the communication clearly says that it requires immediate attention. Basically, what he's asking is for you to move it, at a committee to.
He's calling right
To
now.
the floor. Okay.
Hello?
back, I would think.
Did I send him the text that he posted on something?
So the main gist is that you're looking to reduce the number of inspectors.
She has some questions about the reporting to, where was that here?
The New York Board of Fire
Maybe we
Underwriters.
should see if that was taken out.
It always takes precedence
There's
over
no-
other things that have come in the last 6 years, but people say, oh, I didn't read
You
it.
don't need more than 7, right? So
Okay.
you can't get
Do you
more
want
than
me to
7.
put you on speaker so you can explain that to them? And they have another question on one of the other sections that are being amended. Seriously?
What do you say, no? Mark? Unless it's just there, she's down. She's down.
Okay, you're on speaker.
Hi, Mark, thank you for calling us.
Welcome home.
So,
Okay. Do you want me to explain why I picked the number of 7?
well, if we could, that would be great to know, but if we could address one specific question, which is about 208-14D. You guys have eliminated D, and the question on the floor right now is, why was D eliminated? In particular, D requires that you report to the Office of the New York Board of Fire Underwriters, the Bureau of Electricity. Why do we no longer need to do that? Are we, in sync with the requirements of New York State?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so that's no longer needed. Do you want to follow up on
No,
that?
we no longer need that.
Okay, but who do you report to? Because B says, to report or cause to be reported to an inspector, the address or location of such premise, and to furnish such other information. So actually, B replaces D, but B doesn't speak to who it's to be reported to.
Here's what I think we should do. I'll go back to the board. It's not time sensitive, and I can better report on that. I know why we reduced to 7. I can speak to that. But the other one I want to make sure before I answer.
Okay.
Is this
Okay.
going to 7?
And the reason the number was up to 7 is, if we go above 7 inspectors, we're going to have companies requesting to become inspectors, and thus they're going to want an inspector on work. It kind of goes to solar companies who basically are requesting to become inspectors now, and you're going to have kind of order one of inspectors.
I remember that, Mark.
You have to be an inspector, you have to be an electrician 5 years before you become an inspector, and preferably 9 years so that you know the inspectors are master electricians.
Right, I remember that discussion you had. I remember that now, Mark.
Okay, all right. So we will then hold off on this, and at our January meeting, you'll come and talk to us about the underwriter issue, which is section D?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay,
Our
can
meeting
we-
is the second Wednesday of January.
We are always this
Well, in
third.
January,
Okay, well, we don't know yet. It's the quick answer. Marianne has just one more question.
Well, can't we do 208-14A tonight, and then you can come back in January to answer the other?
Okay,
That is correct.
okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm sorry if I know it was going to be an issue like this, nowhere to keep. So I have to apologize for that.
No, thank you for the call.
Okay.
All right, take it.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you
Merry
too.
Christmas, Mark.
Merry Christmas, and your lights are nice, and you get inspected.
He would have had a better 7.
So I think Marianne's point is we could just move on section A, which I think is a fair enough point.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
consensus to do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so,
then get B and D verified, and I can send Mark an email.
okay.
Yeah, I'll send Mark an email
that
about my A, or my B and D question.
208-14.
There's something
B&O.
B&O. Oh, B&O.
It's the railroad.
No, there's AD ointment,
Um,
AD ointment.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'm trying to round you guys up.
Bed and breakfast you're making.
I'm a mom.
B&B.
Second?
Second.
Fiery.
Okay, all those in favor? Deb, are you aye? Aye. All right, we'll pass it around. So again, we only are adopting A. We're going to deal with D next time we meet. We're tabling vehicle transport, we're not tabling, we're putting aside vehicle transportation. We're almost there, guys.
You can stay with me.
I know. Okay, so our last issue then is the proposed zoning change to parking. And what happened last time is we voted on the change when instead the appropriate procedure was to refer it without voting to the Ulster County Planning Board, the City Planning, and the Historic Landmarks Commission. So what we need to do is essentially amend that previous,
I know, her sort of sneaked it and she left it.
I'm gonna start to pass these around.
Oh.
I know.
Very Christmas.
I know. So we have to amend the previous committee report because we must refer the zoning changes out first, get the report back
To the zoning
before we
board?
then act.
To the zoning board of appeals.
To city planning,
City planning, county planning, and historic.
And who?
Historic preservation. Same thing you did with the Rucko
I know, but
application.
the historic preservation one really throws me. Why, it's a
in the statute.
commission. It doesn't mean that they have to make a recommendation all the time, right?
It's in the statute, it has to be referred to them, for them to have the opportunity to make a recommendation. Anytime there's a zoning change, they have to have the opportunity to make a recommendation. So it gets referred to them, they discuss it, they want to make a recommendation, they send it back to you.
So what exactly am I voting on then, for this to go to the next level?
just to refer. And in fact, I'm not even sure we need to vote on it, except that we sent the committee report out prior to this step in the
So you're
process.
basically voting to amend the committee report to refer the request for the change to county planning, city planning, and the historic preservation.
And what should be the outcome after that? Then it comes back to us?
Then we have
Yes.
to reconsider.
So then we vote yea or nay if you want to go, want to amend it.
Papers
I'm not
and
sure.
papers.
What was our
It's not the same money.
Was that right? It was 3-2. I think it was 3-2. Right? It was 3-2.
I just want to be sure I'm not voting on something that.
You're not
Okay,
voting,
I'm
this
just
is what
clarifying.
should have taken place first, which
Okay.
is,
For
these
referral.
goes to these committees.
And then it goes back.
Then we get a report back,
Okay.
and then we right, so basically what we need to do is take the committee report that we had and amend that with this saying essentially what we're doing is referring, not voting out.
All right. So I want to be sure this doesn't.
And, you know, also as I said, I spoke to Suzanne Cahill, and I don't know, for me at least, to understand the seeker process better would be enormously helpful. And so one of the things she's thinking about in the future, maybe in the spring, it's kind of it's not a concretized idea yet, but perhaps having an informational session for anyone who wants to attend.
I do, because just because you have parking, only people throwing a blacktop, it's got to be, I just have an issue with this. That's why I'm sure I'm not voting to say, okay, go ahead, it's just going to go forward to the next one and come back to us.
Yeah, and I'm on record, you're not voting
Okay.
on anything, it
Thank
has
you.
to come back.
Okay.
And you can,
Yeah, because I don't like it the way it is right now,
Yeah.
so I'm not,
yeah.
all right, that's
Yeah.
CYA.
So I'm gonna ask for, which I should have done at the beginning, a motion,
Motion.
second?
Second?
Is this my big? I'll sign this one.
So all those in favor of amending the previous committee report and instead referring the zoning law amendment parking to City Planning, Ulster County Planning, and Historic Landmarks Preservation Commission, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, so procedurally, we have voted our wrong. And that is, I'm gonna pass that on, that is the last agenda item. Motion.
Question, just process about the last one, process-wise. Do you know, will it all go to the, is it like an immediate referral? Will it be on the agendas in the January meeting?
It should be, yes, it should, it is now going out to those committees.
And there'll be a public comment on it?
There should be, yes.
And when it comes back, there would be a public comment?
Yes,
opportunity?
yes, we can do that. According to the-
Correct.
A motion to adjourn?
No, that's not
Second.
sound.